Shalom. I want to start off by giving all honor, all glory, all praise to Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, Rokaha, Kwadash. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect, and double honors to the elders, prophets, and teachers who rule well and taught us this 100% true. Now, what we're going to be going to in this video today is I'm going to be doing a land back on one of the Akim that I've found. I found this video and stumbled across it on here, and we're going to just jump. We're going to jump right into it. Right. And it was regarding the Vietnam War and how people were seeing chariots and so-called figures.
Now, with that being said about the Vietnam War, you also got to remember that at the same time, the military was issued goggles that was supposed to help with night vision, but they also were seeing spiritual encounters, seeing demons in the air, and they were shooting at that as well.
Okay. And that's what we're going to pretty much touch on and going into the Vietnam War, right? Let me grab it real quick. All right. And this is one of the first videos we're going to go into. I got the title at the bottom: Unidentified Shocking UFO Sightings by Navy Pilot in Vietnam. Right. And we're going to jump straight into it.
Disparate pieces of data. It's a bit like putting together a jigsaw puzzle. At first, you have all these little pieces on the table, but little by little, the more pieces you have, the more the picture becomes in focus.
Lou Elizondo has just interviewed a second Vietnam veteran about a strange object he saw in an active war. But he needs to gather more data.
If we can establish the things that they were seeing back then in the past from the Vietnam War are indeed the same types of vehicles being observed and perhaps the same type of technology that we're seeing today, then maybe it'll help us figure out what these things are and where they're from.
Today, he's sitting down with a veteran who witnessed a similar object during the NATO bombing of Kosovo in 1999.
Mr. Tar, I presume.
Yes, sir.
Hey, how are you, sir?
How are you?
Thank you very much for coming here and speaking with me. I really appreciate it.
My name is Derek Tarr. I was a senior airman during the late 90s serving in the United States Air Force. This is the first time I've ever told this story.
Derek Tarr was a boom operator on an Air Force KC-10, responsible for the mid-air refueling of NATO jets between bombing runs.
You got a lot of pilots out there, but you have very few boom operators. These individuals are trained experts on all sorts of allied NATO aircraft. They know the difference between an F-18 Hornet, between an F-117 Night Fighter, an F-16. They know all these aircraft because they see them day in and day out.
On March 24th, 1999, Tarr is on a...
All right. Now that's important that he said that, because that's setting it up for you understanding that they know that what they saw was not some fucking plane that another country had. You know what I'm saying? They know their planes, man. They know their aircrafts. So when they say that they saw something, they mean it, right? And let's jump back into it. Slakia.
refueling mission over the Adriatic Sea when suddenly he sees a strange light.
I was sitting in the boom pod in the back of the KC-10, just waiting for the next set of receivers to arrive. I had noticed a bright light that was behind us, slightly below our altitude. It just kind of hung back, didn't seem to make any more forward progress towards our aircraft. That's when I kind of started to wonder what was going on. I called up to my pilot on the interphone to ask him if we had more receivers coming, and said that we did not have anyone scheduled.
Tarr says the control center monitoring the airspace reported all known aircraft were accounted for.
We started into a turn, and as I looked back, it's just a bright white orb. It was very bouncy, almost like a super ball. Very short, very succinct, very sharp movements, but extremely rapid. The jostling or oscillations that it was doing were certainly not minute adjustments, probably several hundred feet, up, down, side to side. Once I got to about our 8 o'clock position, it did a rapid climb, and just in the blink of an eye, went straight up, and it just shot right up into the sky. Fastest thing I've ever seen.
The UFO Tarr claims he saw was spherical, instead of the oblong shape of Tic Tacs, but it featured some of the same 5 observables.
We have hypersonic velocities, instantaneous acceleration, and of course, positive lift, or in the vernacular, anti-gravity.
4 new sightings spanning decades in Kosovo, Afghanistan, and Vietnam. U.S. military eyewitnesses reported single objects in close proximity to American planes. And in the 2004 Nimitz encounter, where an entire carrier strike group was present, radar operators reported a fleet of objects.
What TAR saw and what the Nimitz folks had reported back in 2004, there were some commonalities in the performance of these things.
The team needs to gather more data to address the biggest question. Are these the same objects? And if so, what are they? In the case of Derek Tarr's sighting, could the conflict itself offer a clue?
Clearly, when we engage Kosovo, we're operating in fairly close proximity to Russia, and it's an opportunity for them to collect intelligence.
All right, now they're going to go into this, that, and the third. But yeah, as you can see, man, in Vietnam, they were seeing UFOs. They were seeing the chariots, man. The chariots of YAHAWASHI, YAHAWASHI, they were there, right? And I got another video regarding the Vietnam War. Slovakia. I believe it was this one. All right, and we're gonna get into this one too, man. Before we grab a quick scripture, before we transition, because I'm gonna also be going into the World War II, you know, because there were some UF sightings there as well, and not just, you know, World War II in Vietnam. Almost every major war, you could find that there were UFO sightings during these wars, man. And that's YAHAWASHI, YAHAWASHI making his moves and making things happen, right? Because we all know the man's goings are of Yahweh. So he's controlling all these men and all the moves they make in war and everything. All the choices is all controlled by YAHAWASHI, YAHAWASHI. Nevertheless, let's get into this one.
Number 1. UFOs seen during the Vietnam War. First, let's have a look at some encounters during the Vietnam War. It was a time of brutal conflict, and where there is bloodshed, eerie things tend to occur. One incident occurred on June 15, 1968. A patrol boat known as PCF-12 encountered a hostile UFO. At 12:30 a.m., PCF-12 received a frantic distress call from another patrol boat in the vicinity. PCF-19 claimed they were under attack by unidentified lights. They believed these were enemy helicopters. It was an odd report, since their North Vietnamese enemies were not known to use combat helicopters at the time. As PCF-12 closed in on their position, they spotted 2 bright circular lights in the sky. These lights had a strange glow and were hovering over PCF-19. As they approached, one of the strange lights flashed. PCF-19 exploded in a cascade of water and flying debris. The 2 lights then rapidly fled toward the sea. PCF-12 scoured the area and recovered 2 wounded men. The men claimed that those lights had been trailing them for miles along the river. When they tried firing on the lights, they were obliterated. Officials suspected a missile attack from shore at first, but later investigated.
And you hear that? They said they fired upon them and were obliterated. Didn't even have a chance, man. And yet you got Esau Edom saying that they can take these things out. That's fucking foolishness, man. You're not gonna take these ships down, man. These ships are the work of YAHAWASHI, YAHAWASHI. You're not destroying shit. Never happened and it never will. You know, Salakia, let's get back into it.
Investigations revealed no enemy coastal batteries or missile platforms. The attacking lights were labeled as unknown objects. After this rescue, PCF-12 continued patrolling the river. Soon they were approached by the 2 lights again. The lights hovered on the port and starboard sides, around 300 yards away and 100 feet above the water. Reporting to headquarters yielded no information. PCF-12 called headquarters to try and get an idea of what they were dealing with. They were told no aircraft were in the area at the time. They fired at the lights, it had no effect, and PCF-12 retreated at full speed as the lights pursued them. This chase lasted the whole night. Second engine man, Jim Sveths, claimed he got a good look at the craft. He described them as having a rounded front, like an observation helicopter, and what looked like 2 crewmen sitting side by side. Were the aliens taking sides and assisting the Vietnamese soldiers in their war against the US? How else can you explain such hostility from those UFOs? And how advanced were these alien crafts that the bullets from the soldiers' fully automatic rifles never even caused them a scratch? Did they have some kind of force field protecting them? The second time the US military encountered these UFOs also resulted in a heated confrontation. Number 2.
All right, and that's it for that one. So, come on now. We know that YAHAWASHI, YAHAWASHI, his crafts aren't getting taken out the sky. So we can go ahead and if Esau Edom even bring that stupid shit up, we just dead that. In those past 2 videos where the evidence is to back up what the brother was saying about the UFOs that they were seeing during the Vietnam War. Clear as day, man. They documented it, right? It's Lockyer from the sun in the background. This is where it gets interesting, man. Now we got with a situation that happened during World War II, right? Allied and Axis personnel reported seeing a variety of mysterious aerial phenomena. It's Lockyer from the sun, which they call Foo Fighters. These sightings were reported over both the European and Pacific theaters of operation. Here are some details about the Foo Fighters. Description. You good? Salagia. Description. Pilots described the Foo Fighters as fast-moving, glowing, or translucent blobs that were shaped like clouds. That's beautiful, man. Like clouds, donuts, balls, and spears, right? They were said to fly at 200 miles per hour, appear singly or in formation, and outmaneuver the planes they were chasing. So these ships, they couldn't compete with them as far as maneuverability. And what I want to really take away is that was beautiful. They were shaped like clouds, man. Let's get a precept real quick, right? Just lock you. All right. This is the book of Exodus, chapter 40, verse 34. Then a cloud covered the tent of the congregation, and the glory of Yahawah filled the tabernacle. And Moses was not able to enter into the tent of the congregation because the cloud abode therein, and the glory of Yahawah filled the tabernacle. Now, this is that chariot that's sitting over the tabernacle. Now, it's going to go into it a little bit more. And when the cloud was taken up from over the tabernacle, the children of Israel went onward in all their journeys. But if the cloud were not taken up, then they journeyed not till the day that it was taken up. For the cloud of Yahawah was upon the tabernacle by day, and fire was on it by night. So it was a cloud by day and a fiery cloud by night in the sight of all the house of Israel throughout their journeys. So it's not a coincidence, right? Let's get back to it. Let's bring it back up. That they said that one of the descriptions was that it would look like a cloud. They stepped on their own neck with that one. And we're gonna get the donut one, but first, I'm gonna grab we're gonna grab this third video, this final video. Salaki, I know it's been a lot of videos, but hey, just bear with me, and we're gonna prove that these UFOs, these chariots, are always around during times of war, right? They're always. Let's grab this video. Final one.
Sailors on ships, there were GIs on the ground in artillery battalions, there were German soldiers on the other side of the line. People from all sides of the war were involved and reported the same thing.
Foo Fighters is the name given to the general body of spherical, circular, disc-like, or wedged-shaped bogies, sometimes seeming to glow, shine, or reflect a high degree of illumination seen mostly by World War II pilots or flight crews.
You hear that? Now that's that. You remember what it said? A fiery cloud by night. That's them lights, man. Salakia.
They usually paralleled or followed aircraft and were seen by aviators on all sides of the action, being reported by American, British, German, and Japanese crews. The origins of the term Foo Fighter are uncertain, but it is believed to have come from a popular comic strip of the time called Smokey Stover, in which the character Fooey Stover was known for his wild and reckless behavior. The term was later adopted by pilots and crew members to describe the strange, unexplained lights they were seeing in the sky. Although Royal Air Force personnel had reported seeing lights following their aircraft from as early as March 1942, American sightings were first recorded by crews from the 422nd Night Fighter Squadron stationed in occupied Belgium during the first week of October of 1944. These were incorrectly believed to be Messerschmitt Me 163 rocket-powered interceptors that did not operate at night. The Army Air Command sent officers to investigate, but their research was lost after the war. The bulk of the sightings started occurring in the last week of November 1944, when pilots flying over Western Europe by night reported seeing fast-moving round-glowing objects following their aircraft. The objects were variously described as fiery and glowing red, white, or orange. Some pilots
Hear that fiery again was like a fiery cloud by night. They are describing it to the T, man. All praises to YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, man.
described them as resembling Christmas tree lights and reported that they seemed to toy with the aircraft, making wild turns before simply vanishing. Pilots and aircrew reported that the objects flew together in formation with their aircraft and behaved as if they were under intelligent control but never displayed hostile behavior. However, they could not be outmaneuvered or shot down. The phenomenon was so widespread that the lights earned a name.
You hear that? Could not be outmaneuvered or shot down. So this whole narrative that Esau Edom can shoot down of chariots or UFOs is bullshit, man. You couldn't shoot them down back then. Do you think you're gonna shoot them down now? No. Like, come on, man.
In the European theater of operations, they were often called Kraut Fireballs, but for the most part called Foo Fighters. Some speculated that the Foo Fighters were some sort of advanced enemy technology, possibly used for reconnaissance or as a form of psychological warfare. Others believed they were some sort of natural phenomenon, such as ball lightning. Despite the many theories, the true nature of the Foo Fighters remains a mystery to this day. Foo Fighters were reported on many occasions from around the world. Examples include sighting from September 1941 in the Indian Ocean, was similar to some later Foo Fighter reports. From the deck of the SS Puławski, a Polish merchant vessel transporting British troops, 2 sailors reported a strange globe glowing with greenish light, about half the size of the full moon as it appears to us. They alerted a British officer who watched the movements of the object with them for over an hour. Pilot Officer Brian Lumsden, a New Zealander flying with No. 3 Squadron's night flight, encountered 2 amber or orange-colored lights that followed him on an intruder mission over northern France in December 1942. One light was higher than the other, which appeared to rule out wingtip navigation lights from an aircraft. The lights pursued him until he reached the English Channel. Another pilot from his unit experienced a similar phenomenon the following evening with a green light. The story was eventually published in the Christchurch Star Sun newspapers, Gearing for November 1955 edition. 13th October 1944. An RAF crew from No. 178 Squadron based in Italy reported seeing lights following their aircraft over Hungary during a night raid on Székesfehérvár. B-24 Liberator, KH-103, flown by Pilot Officer Taylor, was followed by an intermittent red light for several minutes. The squadron had started reporting numerous similar instances as early as April 1944, and would continue doing so throughout the remainder of 1944. and into 1945. Charles R. Bastian of the U.S. 8th Air Force reported one of the first encounters with Fu fighters over the Belgium-Netherlands area. He described them as two fog lights flying at high rates of speed that could change direction rapidly. During debriefing, his intelligence officer told him that two RAF night fighters had reported the same thing, and it was later reported in British newspapers. Career U.S. Air Force pilot Dwayne Adams often related that he had witnessed two occurrences of a bright light, which paced his aircraft for about half an hour, and then rapidly ascended into the sky. Both incidents occurred at night, both over the South Pacific, and both were witnessed by the entire aircraft crew. The first sighting occurred shortly after.
It's a lock in. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna stop it right there, man, because this is you can see I only got, well, you know what, I'm gonna just let it finish off. It's literally like maybe 40 seconds. It's locky.
The end of World War II, while Adams piloted a B-25 bomber. The second sighting occurred in the early 1960s when Adams was piloting a KC-135 tanker. Senator Ted Stevens described an encounter from the time he was a U.S. Air Force fighter pilot during World War II, as recounted by Senator Harry Reid. "I was flying, and there was an object next to me. I couldn't get rid of it. I slowed up. It was there. I sped up. It was there. I would dive. It would be there. I called. Nothing on radar."
Hey, I'm glad call out BAHASHAM, shout out, let that finish playing out. So no matter how the dude moved, the UFO or the chariot was just on him, man. He couldn't shake him. And people and Esau Edom really got the nerve to try to say that they actually took these things out of the sky, man. Right? And we're gonna grab our last precept, right? Just lock in. Let me grab it. And we're going into Ezekiel, man. Right? This is the book of Ezekiel, because they kept talking about a fiery craft, like that was in the clouds, man. This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 1, verse 13. "As for the likeness of the living creatures, their appearance was like burning coals of fire, and like the appearance of lamps. It went up and down among the living creatures, and the fire was bright, and out of the fire went forth lightning." So that's the light. It's fire. That's the constant light, right? That's emitting from the craft. And then those bolts of lightning. I don't know if you ever seen like the UFO or how Esau Edom depicts it. This is the reason that he depicts UFOs the way that he do. When he shows them and they're flashing in different colors, that's like the flashes of lightning, man. Right? And the living creatures ran and returned as the appearance of a flash of lightning. Now I beheld the living creatures, and behold, one wheel upon the earth by the living creatures with his four faces. Listen. And the appearance of the wheels and their work was like unto the color of beryl. So that was a color of it. And they four had one likeness, and their appearance and their work was as it were a wheel in the middle of a wheel. What does that sound like? A wheel in the middle of a wheel. That sounds like a disc-shaped UFO, so-called UFO, but we all know that it's a chariot of YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI, man. And these verses in Ezekiel, well, they are powerful when it comes to putting forth that these chariots exist, and they're the work of YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI, right? And that's all I have for you today with this, right? It's already getting pretty late. It's almost 11 o'clock. I got to get up at 6. Hey, Thawada, if you stayed in and stayed tuned for this whole thing, I know it was a lot of videos, Salakia, and I pray that this was edifying. And with that, Shalom.